Hey guys, I'm gonna make a quick video on sharpening joiner and planer blades. I just ran a whole bunch of material through my joiner to make a workbench top. Somebody gave me some material and I ran it. There it goes right back there so you can see it. Anyway, they started off as 4x4 posts. It was pretty good stuff, to be honest, but some of it was kind of twisted. There was some bad spots in it, so I had to kind of, I wound up, I milled it down from like 4 inches to like 2.5 inches. And so it produced 3 55-gallon containers full of sawdust and chips. My blades are pretty dull, and so I'm gonna show how I sharpen my blades. Makita 9820-2 electric sharpener. You can see those blades are nice and polished, but there's some areas down in here where it started developing a, I might have hit something. Some of this wood was stored outside, so there may have been like little stones or whatever on it. It's kind of hard to see that. Here we go. Right there, there's some more little issues. But I think just running that much material, things start to dull up. And so we're going to take these off and sharpen them up. Look at this, these blades say Wapakoneta, trademark 1891 in Wapakoneta, Ohio. High-speed steel, 89,638. Okay, so I think this company went out of business in the 80s. And you can see these have been sharpened down until I'm into the letters now. So I'm just telling you, like something like this, you're gonna be able to sharpen many times. Look how thick they are. So there's plenty of material on there. Okay, this little dude here is a Makita. Turn the light on. This is like a 3,000 grit stone, and there's a tank. So basically what you do is you set this to the blade angle. You put your blade in there and make sure it's straight. And set your blade angle. And then you fill this tank right here full of water. And it's got a simple mechanism in it. It's got a little hole right here. And so if you twist this, the hole gets bigger or smaller and allows more water to drip out onto the stone. So what you're supposed to do is pour water in here and kind of let it saturate into this. This is like a permeable ceramic. It allows moisture to get down in here. And what you do is this slides back and forth. I'm gonna put some wax on here before I get started so I get some nice prismatic motion. So you put the blade in here and then this thing spins, water's dripping on it, and you just keep taking passes and it gradually kind of wears the blade down and brings it to a sharp edge. Before I get started doing this, you can see I got a lot of crap here I don't want to get wet. This machine slings water all over the place. So you can kind of keep the wraps on it just by not feeding it too much water. There's a hole right here, and so the excess water as it drips out will come down inside the machine. There's like kind of a little reservoir in here, and then it allows it to drip out of this hole. And there's this straw right here that goes into the hole and sticks out. I mean, it's kind of primitive, you know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna allow this to hang off the side of the table, and I'm gonna put like a 5-gallon bucket under, so all the runoff will go out of this into a bucket where I could throw it away later. But I guess the bottom line is, for all this crap I got up here, I'm gonna take a yard bag, slit it down the middle, and just use some painter's tape to kind of tape it up in place. And so anyway, I want to explain what that's about before the next scene, because you'll probably be wondering why I got a garbage bag taped to my workbench. All right, I'm gonna dump a little water in here. I'm just gonna dump it right in the middle. I got this plugged in. Make sure you got a grounded plug. Okay, so I'm gonna give this about 10 minutes to kind of settle down. Okay, now look, there's this thing here, and it turns, and as it turns, it goes up and down, so it goes higher. See, it's part of the trick of not making a huge mess, is to keep this as high as you can, because it, like all the spin off, will wind up hitting this little shield here and keeping the water from going overboard. Okay, this thing is like on a spring set down here, and then you have up and down adjustments on this side and that side. And then this is like the fine tune for the angle. So you could, and then once you get your height, you can lock it in here and here. You set your angle with this knob, and then I'm gonna pour water in here and show you about how I like to do it. Like once it gets saturated, okay, you see it coming out? Okay, so I could turn that till it's just barely dripping, like just maybe a little less than that. Yeah, like drops. You just want to keep it fed so it doesn't start starving of water. And so anyway, it'll take a little while for this to saturate, so I'm gonna go ahead and stop it here. So I'm gonna keep adding water. Keep this thing wet, and then watch. As I dump it, it'll start to go overboard. And once I get everything settled down, it'll kind of turn to a drip and won't come out that much, but I got a bucket underneath catching it. Okay, here's the jig. So this tightens them down. And then these are stops, and it sets the height of the blade. So you can look down in there, and there's little screws. And so that sets the height that this thing sticks out. Now I've already ran this, like the last time I ran this machine was with these blades, and so it's already set for planer blades. So I'm gonna stick it in here like this. Try to kind of get it evened out, so well distributed. I think I left the screw up here, yeah. So it bumps it in right there, so they're all like kind of in the same place. I'm just gonna hand tighten, loose fit, so I'm not putting a kink in this thing. And then I'm gonna go back and then turn it down a little more and a little more until it's nice and clamped up all the way across the plate. Each one I do, for some reason, it makes a little bit more slop than the other one. So, okay, the bevel sides on this side, these little doodads go up, and then the waves are in this back thing here. This basically slides this blade back and forth on that stone. Okay, here you can get a good look at that chip. I was trying to show you earlier. Yeah, look at that guy. And I can feel a bunch of other ones on here. What I do is I use a adjustable square, like an engineer's square that's adjustable on one side. Starrett makes them, and you can get them for like 17 bucks at Home Depot too. And then I set the gap on this side and then check it over here and make sure that it's uniform all the way across. Because you don't want the blade like that, or it'll make it skewed, and vice versa. Okay, I'm gonna try to do this with one hand. So, okay, this sits down on top of those waves on this machine. Okay, now look at this right here. So that's the edge of the blade, and I'm looking to make sure that this thing is sitting right down flat on that stone. It looks like it is. I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's better if you kind of start biased to this side. When I apply some pressure as I'm going back and forth in this direction, it'll push it in a little. So it doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, got the blade started. Can you hear it? All I gotta do is push down this a little bit. Okay, so I'm gonna grab this and I'm just gonna work it back and forth, very slow. I'm not gonna push hard. You gotta just let the process do it on its own. If you start pushing hard on it, you're gonna dish this stone, and then it'll affect the blade later. Under its own weight, almost maybe finger pressure. I'll let this thing drip maybe about that speed. And I'm not gonna show you me doing it, but I'll show you the results when I'm finished. Okay, I wanna show you this real quick. There's like a film of water right here. See that? And when I push this blade, it's down to the stone. You wanna just basically push it. So you can see that like kind of riffle up on the blade, and what that means is that edge is like pushed down against the stone, and then what'll happen is it'll create kind of a muddy slurry that's on top of this thing, and I think that is what kind of grinds into the blade and polishes it and makes it sharp. I got these cleaned up now. Look at this. All right, I'm gonna show you you watch the tip of the blade. Okay, so I got my primary bevel, and then I got that secondary bevel there, and it's polished to a shine. There you go, you can kind of see it. It took me a long time. Yeah, you can see that reflection right there. It took me a little while to get some of those dings out of the blade, but I was able to get them all out. It took a while, especially this one I have in my hand, because, and so I had to go over it and over it. So, yeah, there you go. Look at that. It's pretty neat, pretty clean. If I turn it just right, it turns into a mirror. They're polished. So that's really what you want. I could shave the hair off my arm with it, but, you know, I'm not really into that. You could feel it with your finger and tell if it's sharp or not. Here's another one. They kind of got crud on them, but so that's what it is if you're seeing that, if it's picking it up in a video. I'm trying to get the right. Okay, so now there's a little bitty burr that develops on the backside, because you just put your grinding stone is pushing the material down around the corner, and so as it gets thinner and thinner, you get a burr on the backside. Now I've already taken it off. Let me show you what I use. I got a diamond stone that I keep right here. I'll lay the blades on here flat and then move them this way. And it'll take that burr that's on the backside and push it forward, and it'll just shear it off. And then, so I'll get them like this and then kind of just push it flat at like a 45-degree angle until you get like all the way down the length of the blade. The blade's much longer than these little diamond stones. So anyway, I'm not gonna do it because I'm done, but okay. So after you get that done, I use this. This is a strop. This is really for plain blades also. It's small, but same deal. You're gonna apply some of this. This is rouge. And man, I've seen people on YouTube and other places just really load up their strop with rouge, but man, it takes just a little bit, you know? I mean, you wanna be able to feel kind of like a little bit of wax on the surface, but you don't like, this is not loaded up. And what that does, it's got a little bit of like compound in there that increases the friction. It has like a little bit of media in it to help do a cut. Okay, now that burr that was on the backside here, I'm gonna repeat that process I just did where you lay this down flat. Okay, you always, and then I'm just gonna push and pull that blade away from the sharp edge. And if there's any remainders of that burr, it'll take it off. Okay, I'm not able to do this because I got my camera in my hand, but I'm just trying to show you what to do. Then I flip it over, turn it this way. I'm gonna take this sharp edge here and turn it up right on this bevel angle and pull it towards you through that rouge. And you do it a couple times. You're gonna do it like down the length. Don't need to push hard. You're just trying to burnish the surface, okay? And what that'll do is that'll continue to polish the surface off, makes it super sharp. Okay, and at that point, I mean, you're able to cut paper and do all kinds of stuff, but, and then, you know, you have to kind of practice and try this a couple times. It's the same exact process you use for chisels or planer blades. But anyway, do that. They're steel, so they'll rust. I like to put just a little bit of oil on these. And I'm gonna rub this in with a paper towel and spread it out everywhere, and it'll help keep it from rusting. Sorry. Yeah, okay, so when you handle these, you don't want them touching each other, especially the sharp to sharp, or even to sharp to the blunt areas on here, or it'll take your sharp edge off. Look at that surface. The only way you're gonna get it more buttery smooth than that is with a hand sharpened, hand planer blade. Anyway, looks great. Guys, this is all I got for that one. I just wanted to show that method that I use. I got turned on to it by another guy on YouTube. It was Askwoodman or something like that. I'll put a link below, but anyway, for some of your bigger joiners, these blades may cost up to $150, $200, and so replacing them really isn't that feasible. Every now and then you'll hit like a nail or, you know, run a bunch of material and cause damage. It's just really not efficient to replace the blades. Plus, you can get a lot of grinds out of some of those really wide blades. I mean, like dozens, hundreds of grinds. And so you may as well, you know, get the equipment and get set up so you can sharpen it and keep your blades optimal all the time.